to that number, okay? And we're going to be using this text feature all day long to do giveaways and other stuff. I have some books here to give away. We will give some away at some point with this text feature. If you're posting stuff to places, use hashtag #TalentNet. But we're posting for questions and giveaways, hashtag TNL, the text. We just did that because it's shorter. All right? If you want to join the conversation, we've got a new channel that we just started for this event, but it's going to go on all year and next year and the year after. That's it. I'm not going to read it to you. Okay, next. These are our sponsors. Thank you, sponsors. We couldn't do this without you. And next slide. I think that's it. I appreciate you very much. Thank you for being here. We're going to push your boundaries today, right? We're going to give you actionable takeaways. We are all a part of this. There is no me without you. There is no this without all of us. We're here together. And we're so lucky to have But First Coffee as our first presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, Jackie Cody, John Baldino, But First Coffee. Let me try to get off the stage.
You're doing a fine job.
You're fantastic. Thank you.
I think it's But First Water. Does anybody notice that? Y'all been doing that?
Hey, also, when it's your turn to be up, we're not taking breaks today. If you need to take a break, just go take a break. Okay? We're going back to back. When it's your turn to be up on stage, you just be ready to come up these stairs. All right.
All right, let me see that.
Hey, y'all.
After you.
Oh, thank you.
I did
How
sure
are
you
y'all
can.
doing? I don't know if any of y'all watch But First Coffee. You might be shocked to know it's also not our day job.
I mean, if it were, we'd be pretty cool.
We might script it. We might actually script it. But I'm glad that all of you are here. Today it is But First Water. I drove up from Waco. I get very excited of seeing all my friends that I haven't seen for a very long time. Some of them I got all wet and sweaty. I'm sweating this morning.
And I have been living in Florida for the last 2.5 years, and I was freezing this morning. So the rain, and I know, poor me, it's so terrible. We are live, but just so you all know, we actually are live right now on all the But First Coffee channels as well as we normally do on Thursdays. So don't go on and put your volume up while we're doing this, because the time is off and you'll be really confused.
But if you have questions, you can add them and we'll ignore them still on stage. It will be just like But First Coffee. It'll be exactly like that.
So one of the things that we aren't going to ignore all of your questions, just the ones we don't want to answer. But the idea for this morning, and I don't know if any of you saw this article that came out this week, but really the idea of people not leaving their jobs, and now employers are frustrated because there isn't turnover. Did any of y'all see this article? Yeah, I posted it yesterday, I think, as well on my social media, if you're following me. So it was kind of surprising, right? Like, what?
For those of us that are in HR, it's horrible. Remember that like non-regrettable turnover? We're having none of that. They're all staying at work. There's nothing you can do. Remember, like we're saying to them, make life more difficult, and they'll leave. They're not leaving.
No.
They're like, hold my beer. They'll double down.
Well, part of the article is, now this is the part that's fascinating. The part of the reason that the article lists is because it's actually your fault. Talking to all of you.
Young lady in the red with the red lipstick.
Yes, it's you.
Your fault.
It's your fault. Because we put so much emphasis into employee engagement, wellness, giving people healthy culture, inclusive environments, that now they don't want to leave.
I mean, that was the reason we never did it in the first place. Y'all forgot. Don't make this a fun place to be. It's like McDonald's. Don't give them cookie seats.
No.
You eat your cheeseburger, you get out.
So because we've made it so lovely, no one wants to leave, and now employers are mad that they don't have new people coming in to help with things. So I'm not sure how true that is.
Well, but you reminded me of something. Speaking of anger, did y'all see John last week refer to Marie Osmond as a flounder?
First of all, are we really going to do this again? Because I got like 30 text messages about this after last week's show. Look, y'all. I watched Donnie and Marie all the time in the 70s.
And they call it puppy
I had Donnie Marie Going Coconuts on vinyl. I'm a fan. Marie, yeah, y'all remember that? Going Coconuts, right? Marie got another procedure done. That's all. On her face. She was on The Bold and the Beautiful this week, and the camera from the side, you literally could see her eyeball over here by her ear.
It's not nice.
And so I said it reminded me of a flounder, and that was it.
And so, before we go on, I know people are asking and wondering, I would just like to apologize to Marie, because I'm sure she's in the
If Marie Osmond is watching us, her career is worse than I thought it is. So, I mean, I'm just wanting to be clear about that as well. I don't hate on Marie. Look, if you have the money and that's what you want to do, I just want to be affirmational, though, in one way by saying, you're beautiful just as you are. You're beautiful just as you are. It's true.
It is true.
Right? You're beautiful just as you are.
And you too. Except for that mustache.
Except for my
y'all
porn
didn't know,
stash.
it is
Welcome to
Movember.
Porn stash month, according to my wife.
AKA the time that I unfollow John and don't respond.
So if you get close to me today, you're going to notice a lot of gray, white on the edges. I used to do the full nose shave. And no longer, because it is super white, everything else, and my wife is not a fan. And so I get away with doing the porn stash just for the month, and literally November 30th, as it hits midnight, like I'm asleep in bed and she's leaning over with the razor, just getting rid of the whole thing since the month is over.
But tell them what it's for, though.
So I do. Follow me on socials. A bunch of money for men's cancer. Have for years. Lars Schmidt, if you're familiar with Lars as well, the two of us have done it for years. Please follow us. Please donate. We are raising money for men's cancer research as well as mental health support for the men that are going through their cancer journey. So please join me in it this month. Appreciate it.
That's right. I appreciate that. But I would hope that people would fundraise from home. Going back to the topic. See right there?
See?
All
Full circle.
the way back.
Full circle.
But the challenge, I think, right now really is we've made, like some people, they like to call people at work a family. They like to call it a work family. Any of you heard people say that before? Yeah.
Stop saying that. Can
Some
I say
people
that?
took that way too realistic.
I don't. If you are saying your company is like a family, I'd recommend stopping that. First of all, people are coming in. They may hate their families. Like some of you, I'm sure everybody here loves their family, but some of you hate your family, and so you're telling someone, "Come work here. It's just like what you're experiencing at home."
Not a good idea.
What? I don't want that. Now, again, lean into the things maybe that you want it to be about, right? Like, it's warm. We're inviting. We lie. Whatever the things are that are like a family, just say that as opposed to we're like a family.
Well, and I think that's why people are staying too. They're not getting accurate feedback because as we're empty nesters, as you know, we're just two Gen X kids in love. And our kids, kids come back, right?
Yes.
And kids come back because parents didn't give them accurate feedback. When you get out, you stay out. When you get gone, you stay gone.
Yes.
Right? They're not telling them that. They're not saying you're the reason that my hair turned this color.
Katee and I are on different pages with that because Frankie returned from Phoenix and has decided to join us in our next chapter of life in Florida. So I'm from Philadelphia. When the last kid went to college, Katee put the sign on the front lawn after she told me that we were moving. 5 minutes later, she put the sign up. And so we moved, and so my son, who's the oldest, decided to come back and join us now. And so I love him. He's my best buddy in the whole world. But I don't need to live with him for him to be my best buddy in the whole world. And Katee feels differently. She does like him there because he helps take care of the dog. That's it.
I do admit I feel differently than my executive producer does about our oldest. He came home last week. I didn't know that he was coming home, and the way that I found out is I heard, "What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing?" And I ran in, and it was sweet baby TJ. He was trying to do my husband's puzzle. And so we started instantly. We just started fighting right in. So it's like a family.
We haven't done the training though, so anytime Jackie or I mention sweet baby TJ, you are to take whatever hand you're most comfortable with and clutch your pearls or your chest because he's just the sweetest child in the world. So sweet baby TJ.
Oh, and P.S. sweet baby TJ is 20.
But when we're on video, he looks for me to do it. I'm like, hey, TJ. You know, you have to grab your chest a little bit because and he will be president of the United States one day as well. So be prepared for that.
That's right.
I do, and actually it's funny that you're talking about TJ because one of the surveys that we did some research, I did some research on and connected to this article that came out yesterday is that 20-year-olds are less likely to enter traditional workforce as those 10 years older. So we're not necessarily talking about full generations because I know we love to lean into those millennials. You know, by the way, the research on millennials says in 5 years, they'll be 75% of the workforce. That's called aging. So please don't pay attention to those kinds of numbers because, you know, those of us who are older might be dying. And so that means the millennials are going to be the larger workforce. But if you have a 10-year gap, 20 to 30-year-olds, where 20-year-olds are saying, I don't want to be in the workforce the same way, that's what we need to keep people. Is my flag on?
You missed it. It was a shout out to your porn stash.
Oh, thank you for that.
Oh, that's lovely.
I told you to follow me on socials.
Waited.
So my Movember link will also appear on an OnlyFans site this week as well. Once this is now
OnlyFans. He is his OnlyFans.
I was hesitant to say it at first because I was worried whose head would go down to log into their OnlyFans account. Then you'd be outed.
That's right.
People would know. But yeah, so in some ways we need people to stay because we have less people wanting to come into the workforce. I'm teasing about my son, but Frankie has 3 jobs because he only wants part-time jobs. He only wants gigs. He doesn't want to work for a traditional company. FYI, I own a company, 35 employees, Humoriso, great company. Shout out to the peeps watching. Yes, I see you in the chat. You get to stay another week. He's not interested. He doesn't want to work there. He likes the people that are there, but he's not interested in doing that. And he's not alone. He's got a bunch of friends of his that he graduated college with. They all work these gig or part-time jobs, and they're killing it.
But what you're saying is kind of scary. I mean, understand, even though they're 75% of their workforce, 38% of them on a recent survey said that they wanted to be an influencer. Well, they're influencing me to invest my money into different things. I'm just saying.
I mean, contextually, TikTok it's a whole other world. Any of you active on TikTok?
Yeah.
Yeah. Recruiting on TikTok? Yeah, one of the research articles on TikTok is if you can have people either dance and or have pieces of clothing that come off while you're doing the video, your numbers spike in terms of engagement. So I recommend guest dancing if you have to pick between the two for your organizations. Probably what I'd say.
I'm gonna recommend
dropping clothes.
No. Clothes. I'm going to recommend, this is the hot take, make work again. Make sure that we're giving people options and resources that they can use on their own, but we have to make clear distinctions of the difference between work and not work. I think that we've seen this within what's happening internally, some of the conversations that we're having, people not recognizing what we're doing as a business, and I think sometimes that we forget, we've had a huge campaigns of bringing the human back in human resources. I get it. But I do think it's important that we understand it is still work. And so what's scary is that divide. How much do we do? Do we do these things inside? We want to provide these resources and make sure that our employees are happy, but not to the point where they don't want to leave.
Right.
Like, we should encourage people to learn and grow. I think a lot of organizations, like when we've seen a lot of the layoffs, we know it's disproportionately affected people that are starting in their career, Black and brown people. We know that that's happening. People who are from underrepresented groups. But we also know that L&D has been dropped. Proper training has been dropped. In lieu of doing these online classes, how many of you have a formal L&D department? Raise your hand. How many of you are over the age of 45 can remember being at a company with L&D department? I mean, they used to be standard. I mean, you would go, you get a job in sales, you sit for a month in L&D where they train you everything to do. But now we don't see those things as what's going on. And so what happens is people don't know how to learn.
Well, we've made a determination to say that people only learn in 2 or 3 minute videos. Have you had that as well? They've said to you, the attention span is different. This is the Instagram, TikTok generation, so you've got to take the normal hour you might sit with someone and condense it down to a 5-minute video so we can meet the kids where they're at. Anybody who shares something like that with you, just backhand them and walk out of the room. Because the kids where they're at it's actually belittling and demeaning to people. Like we used to say, millennials, they don't want to work, they just want a lot of feedback. That's actually demeaning to an entire generation of people. So let's stop categorizing people as a whole, right? But I think that your point is well made in terms of L&D. We should stop apologizing that work is work. It's allowed to be work, more so than just a good time. I will also, actually, Craig, you came up here. Should I be keeping track of this text thing? Am I good?
I was going to say, me and John are not keeping time. You're going to have to give us the flag.
You can just throw water at us and such. But the learning part of things for your organization ought to be something, though, that is authentic, as opposed to something that you're just saying, we're doing what the cool kids are doing. Because the cool kids know you're not cool when you do stuff like that, right? We all laugh at that scene in Mean Girls that I'm the cool mom, because it's ridiculous. But that sometimes is what our companies do, and why we get rid of L&D and all that.
I think you're right. But I also think, I don't mind people going online, but I do think that we have to hold people accountable to what they're learning.
Yes.
I mean, it's not just, here, look at this YouTube video and tell me when you're done. Like, did they actually watch it? Did it do anything? Did it make any difference? Because remember, when they want to build the organization, they come to HR. When they want to cut the organization, they go to finance. Finance will look at your Udemy and say, nobody's using it, we did a survey. They'll cut whatever you put in there. And so part of that is feedback. And then part of that is just having that accountability. I think there's a happy medium for both to make sure that we do that. But I just think that when I saw that about people staying at work, it's frightening. Because we've made this whole push to have inclusive environments as well, so that people can, learn from each other and be innovative. But if you're hiring all the same people and they're not leaving, then you're going to be stuck without that innovation for years and years and years. Or if you've built that environment and nobody's learning and they're not leaving, again, you're stuck with those same people, and so the innovation stops. Like, there should be a limit, at least internally. If they don't want to leave, they don't got to leave, but they can't stay here. You can move them to another department, give them other roles, make sure you're doing the internal mobility. That's a cool thing, right?
Yes, it's very cool. And how about, I might use a dirty phrase. It's called job leveling. Dirty words. Because we've lost the art of that as well. Workforce planning as a whole, we've lost the art of that. And this isn't about an indictment. It's quite frankly because we've allowed some of these things to sunset because we didn't have the bandwidth, nor did we have the knowledge base to be able to pass these things along. We can get back to those things, right? It's not a problem to get back to them. It's just a matter of saying, let's make a decision to do so. Workforce planning, you've heard this. Wait a minute, I gotta stop for a second. By the way, Robin Schooling sends her love to everybody, by the way, so just to from Robin. Stephen, Christine, there's some folks joining us online as well, so I wanna make sure that I'm keeping up with that as well. I'm closer than you are. I don't know if your glasses can see that.
They can't.
At all. We get our glasses from Zilul.
I do.
I did from that. You told me to get them.
I know, they're very cute.
Okay. But I taught a workforce planning. I think you saw this, where I talk about Dancing with the Stars. And by the way, Dancing with the Stars is an ABC show that uses workforce planning. In full, they use workforce planning. And I point everything out, all the tenets of workforce planning, and show this is what Dancing with the Stars chooses to do. People are like, wait, what? It's practical? Yes, it's not some theory. We really can make it work and make sense. All the components don't have to work for every organization, but we could have some fun with it at least. I mean, I think that's part of it. But again, if you make things too fun, does that mean people don't want to leave your company? It's the indictment now. You want to make it too good so that people never go. Haven't you had any healthy firings, right, in your existence? I mean, there's some people I'm like, praise the Lord, let me help you out. Where's the box?
I love the non-regrettable. That's my favorite. We don't regret.
Still our colleagues, though, right?
Still our colleagues.
Are they? I mean, it's like when they say a jury of your peers.
I mean, we've had to do the firings in sales, right? We've helped sales managers who have no business being sales managers, right? They were just promoted because they sold a lot, and so we told them they were a manager, but they have no management skill whatsoever. Super fun. And then having to deal with, I worked for an organization that was quota-based, and so there was turnover that was just based on numbers. After a quarter, if you weren't where you needed to be, we encouraged you to pursue your next opportunity.
I heard it once of being called promoted to guest.
Yes.
So you're still part of the family.
Yes.
Kind of like Uncle Ron. But I appreciate everyone being here and joining us at Talent Deck this morning. I know we're getting close. We are Jackie, Clayton, and John Baldino.
We are.
We do Butt First Coffee. You're going to meet Julian and Bruce. This is what you can aspire to when y'all get older. And we do Butt First Coffee every Thursday at 9 Central. And we go live on LinkedIn. So thank you and good morning, and we'll just kick this off.
How about that? Amazing. But first, coffee. And next, Shannon Taylor from